Hi, guys. Hope everybody's doing well and staying safe. Today, we're going to do a little show about some of the Chicago outfit guys and other wise guys that loved going down to Florida for vacation, to party. Some of the smarter ones had businesses down there. A lot of New York guys ended up going down to Florida, and a lot of Chicago guys ended up retiring out in Arizona. Now, there's reasons a lot of outfit guys from New York, Philly, and Chicago, and a lot of celebrities all choose to go down to Florida. You got the beautiful weather, pristine beaches, world renowned hotels. It's an international city. Some of the most beautiful, finest women in the whole world. You got the amazing skyline, carnival cruises, the food, the culture, the history. You even got the Everglades. Now, ask anybody who's been around the 1980s, 1990s, who's been to Miami or visited Miami. They had some of the most beautiful women on the planet. Women from Cuba, Argentina, Colombia, Ecuador, Italy, Greece, Russian, American. And if you behaved yourself, most nights you went out, you met a primo. There's a huge gay community in Miami, especially in South Beach. So if you were a straight guy, you had a great chance. Now, back in the good old days, in the early 90s, when I was running with the Bourbonos, they took me to Hotel Delano. And when I walked into that lobby for the first time and saw the models and heard that house music, then I walked outside to the restaurant called Blue. Who do I see? Gwyneth Paltrow, Madonna, naturally good looking, beautiful. I walked outside to the pool area. I told my friends, I don't want to go anywhere else. Now, Miami has the best happy hours you'll ever go to. It's not just a bunch of suits staring down into their drinks, right? These are lit parties. And then the restaurants, when they close at 11 o'clock, some of them turn into full-blown nightclubs where you're surrounded with beautiful women from all over the world salsa dancing. I'll never forget seeing Lenny Kravitz slap the supermodel. No bouncer. Nobody did anything about it. Now, again, ask around. Going back to the 1980s, 1990s, there was no better place to party than Miami, including Paris, England, London, England, New York City, Vegas, Chicago. Miami was it. The highest fashion, the most beautiful women, all the celebrities, Stallone, J-Lo, Gloria Estefan, Madonna, um, Prince, Mike Tyson, the list goes on. The best after-hour parties as well. Nobody loves football more than the good people down in Florida. I remember Dan Marino's rookie year when he took the Miami Dolphins under Don Shula all the way to the Super Bowl. I also remember the same Dolphin team were the only team to beat my Chicago Bears. My good buddy Ivan and Jacula took me to a Florida State Seminole Miami Hurricane college football game. There was major fights throughout the game. Miami-Dade cops at every aisle. Now, here's one of the main drug trafficking routes going from Miami South to Key West. This is where a lot of the cocaine is smuggled in from. On the left, you got the beautiful Gulf of Mexico. On the right, the amazing Atlantic Ocean. And a lot of New York, Philly, Chicago, mob guys. Their connections with cartels and street gangs made millions of dollars. Now, on a sad note, we'll never forget when Johnny Versace, fashion icon, was killed right there on his front steps in South Beach, right there at the Versace mansion. He was coming home from the News Cafe. I'll never forget seeing the washed up blood on his front steps. But in my opinion, this could have been prevented. The Miami-Dade police dropped the ball. They had warning that the killer was in town, yet sat back and did nothing. Now, Al Capone once said, you can go a long way with a smile, but you can go a lot further with a smile and a gun. This is one of Al Capone's mansions in Miami. I remember seeing this home from a boat. I took photos, I took videos, and we all know Al Capone eventually ended up dying in his prison cell of syphilis. Now, the top man in Florida, the boss, the number one guy who controlled the entire state of Florida, any illegal activity going on, you had to get permission from this man, Santo Traficante. This guy was more like a Carlo Gambino, Tony Accardo, multimillionaire boss that kept things on a low profile. And this was one of his favorite restaurants in Florida, Don Tonello. Now, a good friend of mine, JB, he took me to the famous Vizcaya. This is an unbelievable palace where they have high-end weddings, social events, VIP parties. And I remember when we signed in on the guest list, we signed in Jimmy Hoffa, and kind of as a joke. But there was a story here where Sam Giancana got so drunk and belligerent that he was literally kicked out of the Vizcaya, embarrassing himself. And yes, Tony Accardo, JB, the big tuna, him and his close friends used to love to go deep sea fishing in Miami. And here you could see he caught a prize trophy. And he made a little crack that if the fish would have kept his mouth shut, he would have never have got caught. This is one photo that he was actually posing for. But this good-looking gent here was one of the most powerful, richest mob guys in the world. Now, I love the world-famous Fontainebleau Hotel. Big shots like Frank Sinatra, Nicky Scarfo, Joy Upa, Jack Cerrone, before they got pinched in the strawman case, spent a couple of their last weeks of freedom here. Drinks, last time I checked here, were $25 per drink. But this is where all the heavyweights in organized crime used to spend time back in the day. Now, here's some of the most powerful men in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. They used to love to go down to Coral Gables, especially the two guys on the right. You got two made members of the Chicago outfit. From the 26th Street crew, you got Fred Rohde, Pat Marcy. I went to their trial. They were both found guilty. They had a lot of business, a lot of real estate, and investments in the Coral Gables area. Now, here on the left, I love this photo. You got powerful First Ward Chief John D'Arco Sr. This guy and his close friends, Pat Marcy, Alderman Fred Rohde, pretty much ran the entire city of Chicago. He had a mansion down in West Palm Beach, and at one time he had some problems with a crazy neighbor, so he called his good friend, low-life corrupt lawyer Bob Cooley to fly down and straighten things out. Here's Joey the Clown Lombardo, alleged boss of the Grand Avenue crew. I'll never forget seeing Joey take the stand in his own defense at the Family Secrets trial, denying that he's the boss of any crew. He said that George Bush and Dick Cheney had the biggest crew. Joey and his close friends loved to go down to Florida, mostly West Palm Beach, Key West, and Miami for fishing. Joey also had a high-end resort there called the California Club. Now, John Nono's DeFranzo, boss of Chicago outfit at one time, he led by being a businessman. Rather than use violence, which draws a lot of heat, he went mostly legit and made millions. A lot of guys were jealous against him. Some even accused him of being a government informant. But Nono's had a lot of property and investments in Coconut Grove, Key Biscayne, and South Beach. Now here we got Frankie Schweiss, a.k.a. Hitler, the German. He was one of the prime suspects in the killing of Marilyn Monroe. Also the prime suspect in the murder of Danny Seifert. And probably 50 other unsolved outfit hits. Him, along with his beautiful daughter there, Nora. They had some property in Florida. Frankie Schweiss used to go down there on vacation, get away from some of the heat. And Nora still lives down there. Now, here's my guy, Frank Calabrese, Frankie the Breeze. During the Family Secrets trial, Frankie spent quite a bit of time down in Florida, either on vacation with a couple close friends or actually recovering for some medical issues. And at the time when the Spilatrals were killed, Calabrese complained a little that he kind of wanted to be there. He was wondering why he wasn't invited. But luckily for Frank, he wasn't there. He was down in Florida. Now here you got Sam Wings Carlisi, a.k.a. Black Sam, boss of the Chicago outfit. And according to Nick Calabrese, Wings was one of the men at the house in Bensonville when the Spilachos were beat down. Wings greeted Nick Calabrese, made a few wisecracks about his tan. I never forget seeing Wings at his trial in the early 1990s. But Sam Carlisi had a condo in North Miami that he used to go down to a lot. Now, most of the East Coast guys, New York, Philly, Boston, end up going down to Florida, where a lot of Chicago outfit guys end up moving out west, out to Vegas or out to Arizona. And some of them actually act as sleepers. They're called upon when needed, like Doyle and the Indian, two defendants at the Family Secrets trial. Now, a lot of Boston, New York, Philly, Detroit, even some Chicago wise guys, another reason they love to go down to Miami is because of the dog tracks. The mob till this day has a major influence on dog racing and horse racing. Hundreds of thousands of dollars on wagered. Some of these dogs and horses are even doped. But this is just another cash cow for the mob. Now, a lot of New York and Philly guys, they love going down to Florida. It's close. They go down there to the party. They go down to vacation. They got businesses down there. Where a lot of Chicago outfit guys go out west, go to Vegas, go to Arizona. Guys like Chuan Doyle, the Indian, Michael, Tony Spilotro. But here on the left, you got a photo of John Gotti and his crew down in Florida. And then on the right, you got Nicky Scarfo and his crew down in Miami. Now, a lot of wise guys duck down to Miami in Florida to get away from all the heat in the city, or maybe hide from some of their enemies, lay low for a little while. They also had businesses, interests in Florida, real estate. Obviously, some of them were involved in drugs, bars, nightclubs. Here you got John Gotti, Bobby Borriella, and Jackie the Nose, all enjoying himself there, right there on the Pacific coast. Now here's Chris Paciello, born and raised in Brooklyn, part of the old Bath Avenue Beach crew. He was an associate of the Bonanno family and had close ties to Ellie Persico. Chris Paciello used to be a small-time drug dealer and eventually worked his way up to robbing banks. He pulled off a $300,000 score at the Staten Island Mall, took that money, headed down to South Beach, and opened up one of his first clubs, Liquid. Now, Chris dated all the top models, celebrities, and strippers in Miami. Women loved this guy. But one thing they didn't know was he beat a murder charge. He was the driver in a botched robbery that went wrong where an innocent woman was killed. He also, to avoid a 10-year prison stitch, he testified against Big Joe Messino, boss of the Bonanno family. Eventually got chased out of New York and moved down to Miami. Now, going back to 1985, Miami Vice premiered. This put Miami South Beach back on the map because prior to that, it was a little seedy around there in South Beach because of all the illegal immigrants, cartels, and drug dealing going on there. My family and I actually filmed with Philip Michael Thomas, the actor in Miami Vice. We were coming home from LAX, so you could actually see us in the very first episode. Now, this is probably one of the best movies ever made. You got Scarface filmed in Miami. You could actually go to several of the famous scenes where the movie took place. But a lot of guys got the wrong message from Scarface. Rather than stop dealing drugs and get out of the game or never start dealing, some of these assholes, guys I knew, wanted to be the next Tony Montana. They ended up getting killed or spending the rest of their life in jail. Best time to go to Miami is October, November. Number one, it's cooler, less humidity. And number two, most of the asshole tourists are gone. You could walk around Miami. You could drive around Miami. You could take one of those little scooters and putt-putt around. But there's nothing like seeing Florida off of one of these amazing cigar boats or yachts. Now, Joey Aiuppa, boss of the Chicago outfit, and his underboss, Jack Cerrone, Shortly before they went to prison in the Strawman case, they spent some time down there in Coral Gables. And then on the right there, you got Coconut Grove, which today hopefully is still a safe place and a wonderful place to have dinner and drinks. Beautiful women galore. But this was a favorite spot. Now here's Star Island. The only way to get to it is a one-way bridge in and a one-way bridge out. You can maybe drive past it on a boat, but this is where all your celebrities live in Miami. J-Lo, Perry Farewell, Stallone, Madonna, Gwyneth Paltrow. You got Andy Garcia. You got my guy Shaq, D Wade. There's a reason they love Miami because it's so beautiful here. Now, one of my favorite things to do in the South Beach area back in the day was just to chill, relax, and hang out on Ocean Drive. For example, some of those lounges in the hotels are real cool. They're kind of like mini nightclubs. As soon as you walk in the hotel, you hear the house music blasting. Or you hang out at the news cafe. You see all the beautiful women walking around in thongs, half naked. And on the left, you have the Clevelander. Every time my friends and I went to the Clevelander, we picked up. Now, like my good friend Corleone tells me, Jimmy, there's much more to Miami than fucking South Beach. You got beautiful Coral Gables, Key Biscayne, Little Havana, Brickell. These were all hot spots back then where a lot of the wise guys used to relax and retired from their lives of crime and are still vibrant hotspots today. Now, I've been to all the strip clubs all across North America. Hands down, Miami has the best strip clubs in the entire country. I remember my good friend JFK used to say, you can get away with murder in some of these strip clubs, meaning the women let you touch them and grope them, where other places they'd kick you out. One time a stripper said to me, Jimmy, you like football? I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, you got the kickoff, the field goal, the touchdown. I couldn't afford the touchdown, so $250 got me the field goal. Now, a lot of the wise guys like to go down to Miami just to party. For example, you had some of the world-renowned hotels, classy bars, lounges right there on the beach. You had the actual beach scene where you had half-naked women walking around. You had unbelievable happy hours, late night after VIP parties, party at the Versace Hotel. Then you had unbelievable nightclubs like Liquid, The Living Room, Live, Crowbar, Amnesia, Velvet. Miami was the best place back then. Now look at these two Mamalukes. You got this creep on the left, Old Red. He was chased out of Chicago, relocated down in Florida, and he's never welcomed back into Chicago again. And on the right, you got this government snitch, Gene Borello. He got chased out of Howard Beach. He ended up relocating down in Florida. He actually testified against Gotti's grandson. You know, one wise guy once asked me, Jimmy, how come the government is so sophisticated and good at going after mob guys, but not so sophisticated, not so sharp going after drug cartels? In Miami, most of the Italian guys are all locked up or dead. So now you got the drug cartels and you got the Russian mob selling hundreds of $1 millions of drugs and guns. Now, who remembers Miami, South Beach area back in the old days, the golden years, the 1980s, the 1990s, the beautiful people, all the shopping, hanging out at the bars, the cafes, watching celebrities walk by, watching half-naked women walk by. Now, fast forward 2023, you got ghetto, you got hood. You can't even go down there anymore. Now, it's not just Miami, South Beach that's gone to hell, but you got world-class cities like Seattle, San Francisco, LA, New York, Vegas, Chicago have all gone to hell. People in the suburbs don't even want to go into the cities anymore. Hopefully, one day we can bring our cities back. But I want to give a special shout out to Little Pricky, Youngblood, Cock Leone, Guzzlerana, Jay Paper, Bang Bang, and my guy JFK.